Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of The Fellas. Before we get started, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to stay up to date on all things The Fellas. And please be sure to click the notification bell to stay up to date on all things The Fellas. With that said, we have the 2025 Dutch Grand Prix. Very interesting race. I thought it was a very good race. With that, stepping past everything else in qualifying, just to jump right into the race, the race start highlights. Lando got outmatched by Oscar in qualifying this race. And Oscar further cemented that by coming out on a strong start when the lights went out to chop across and cover Lando to keep him behind, which opened up the door for Max to drive up on the outside of Lando to challenge for second place and ultimately take second place from Lando. That right there, when I saw that, I said, okay, Oscar has learned his lesson. He's going to keep covering Lando to make sure. And I couldn't blame Lando for what Max did. He had no alternative with that. Ray, what are your thoughts on that opening move?
Well, as I've said in the past, I'll say it again, that this is Oscar's year. He's going to win, right? He's come to stamp it and show that's his. And yeah, I'll say that. And when the race started, I was a little concerned because he chopped off Lando really aggressively, right? He went from the left side of the track all the way to the right side of the track. And I was like, oh no, here we go again. Mr. Max is going to come up on the outside. But Oscar learned, because when he went around that turn, he opened up the wheel and then pushed, Max had to make a decision. Am I going to end it here? Or am I going to, try to go on in the race, right? So Oscar, he stamped it right. You know what I'm saying? He stamped it really right because he opened up that wheel and, Max realized that the door was closing and there was nowhere for him to go. So he had to step out of it and kind of fell back in and was able to get around. Well, fell back in and he was neck and neck with Lando until he hit the dirt. And I'll say this, that was excellent car control from Max, right? It was a reflex. And what helped him to get back second is because the track came back on itself with the, that NASCAR banking type of setup.
The banking,
It then helped him to come back in, because if it was not for that, he would not have been where he ended up. My take.
Yes. Right? Yeah. True that.
So he just, because listen, all the drivers saw that, they're like, crap. Everybody wants to race, so everybody backed out of the throttle, right? And he grabbed it up together, and then the track kind of came back to him, and he's like, I'm taking second. It's here for me. So,
I felt that way too. Excellent. I mean, Max, hey, he's a world champion. We know, but he is a world champion. He is a world champion.
Yeah, sure.
He's a world champion. I'm keeping it general. He's a world champion. Okay. And he has shown once again his excellent car control. Because you're right. He at one point looked like he was going to challenge Oscar for first. But
that was his intent. Yeah.
Right. But Oscar closed that door on him.
Yep.
And then he said, okay, I'm going to settle for second. But when I saw the rear of his car snap and he caught it so quick and still didn't lose because Lando was back a little bit from him, I said, I got to give it to Max. Max is a really good driver. That was a great opening.
Yeah, there was no thinking. That was reflex. You know what I'm saying? It just went, and he just went with the car. That was reflex. So
caught it.
I give him props for that.
Yeah, caught it. So the other thing that I noticed on the opening of that was Alex Albon didn't have a good qualifying. He wasn't happy, right, when Williams sent him out, that he had to deal with traffic. But what a comeback. I mean, to come from P15 to make up 5 places on the start of the race. And I know he said that it's almost like the seas parted and there was a path for him, which he said normally doesn't happen in the middle like that. But he literally drove right up that line and grabbed on to P10. Excellent drive by him.
Well, he would not be a driver if he didn't take advantage of that, right? Because it was, according to him, as he said, it was like Noah, the waters parted, right?
Yeah.
But the waters parted, and he just said, "Hey, okay, thank you," because I think he also said that typically you have to be bobbing and weaving in order to get up to that stuff, and he's just like, everybody said, "Come on in, bro. We want you here." And he's like, "Okay, I will." And I went. So yeah, good move for him.
Yeah, I was happy for him in that opening stages because again, Alex is one of the drivers that the Red Bull machine has chewed up and spit out. So it's nice to see him coming into at Williams. You know, like he's strong. He seems very strong, and I'm happy for him. But having said that, later on down in the first third of the race, an uncharacteristic move from Lewis. I mean, yes, light rain was falling, and he went up a little bit too high on the banking, and apparently got his tires up on that paint, that slippery paint, and that was it, gone. That was the first DNF.
Yeah, well, yeah, I feel for Lewis because he had a twitchy car, right? But again, it's multiple factors that cause that, right? Yes, though. Some of the paint there was a special type of paint that helped fight off moisture to give you grip. But I think when his tire touched the green, that wasn't the same paint. So the back twitched on him, and he basically did not have enough room to recover because he turned with it too, but the track closed in back on him, right? And that's what caused him to
hit the barriers, get up into the wall,
get out the ridge, So, that was kind of tough. Right? Yeah. But there's just, that's how it crumbled, right? Because I looked at it for a while and I was like, man, Lewis, and then I was like, yeah, well, because if it wasn't for the last part of that wall that came back, he'd have just been on the grass and then just be able to join back in. Yes, he would have lost spaces, spots, but he would be okay.
I'm hoping he gets an opportunity. Listen, I'm hoping he gets an opportunity to shine again, because
sooner than later.
Yeah, and we know there's always, peaks and valleys, but he's been in a valley now for 2 seasons, pretty much. One with Mercedes and now here Ferrari, and hey, the Tifosi are not that forgiving, man, and they're very vocal.
Yo, I'm gonna say this: they need to get off my man's back, all right? Because, oh man, don't let me have to go there again. When certain people show up, they expect miracles because they're not supposed to be where they are, and that's what they are. Because look at Alonso; nobody's jumping all over Alonso, right? And everybody's playing up my man is just like, oh, he lost it, he this, he that. Come on, man, get off the guy's back. If you can do better, go on and do it.
I'm gonna have to push back on that with the Alonso comment. Fernando very consistently has always outperformed his teammate, regardless of the team he's in. So, and Fernando has consistently shown that he is, when he's driving, and that's what he has been driving, is substandard cars. He's always elevated those cars above what they really should be by his skill. So I that's why I'm pushing back. Hey, I'm for Lewis, but holding him under that same light, and we don't know all else that's going on, just like we don't know all else that's going on when Fernando's in the team. It's surprising. This is the and Charles is fast, we know that, but George had a handle on Lewis, and we don't know the runnings in the back of the team, what was going on, and Charles has a handle on Lewis. So from that comparison, I can't agree with, because Fernando has always consistently outperformed his teammates.
All right, always. So you just said it, right? We don't know what's going on in the background. You know what I'm saying? This could be, again, a Nico Rosberg era. My man walk in there and they're like, hey, anyway, you know what I'm saying? Instead of tightening the screw to what it needs to tighten to this, and instead of adjusting it, adjust it this way, right? So I'm saying, they need to come up off my man because anyway, all right.
Listen, man, he's in the Shark Tank. I hope that he gets a handle on it quick. I can't. He's a 7-time world champion, so he knows those waters. He knows, hey, how treacherous they are. So he needs to do whatever he needs to do on his end to get that together, what he can, because it looks like he's missing a gear that he's always had. That's how it looks. But but that's all. But I don't want to belabor.
Just one last point. This is proving to us that it's a team sport. It's not just the driver, it's what backs the driver also. So this is a perfect case where people come out, oh, there's not a team. This is what team sport, because his team is not on board with what he needs for him to accomplish his task.
Don't know that, but okay. But we'll see. I don't know that, but we'll see. But we'll move on to the on-track melee. Did we lose Ray? Okay. We're going to move on to the on-track melee in the hopes that Ray will log back in. And starting from about the second third of the race, Carlos Sainz and Liam Lawson, they're like magnets attracting each other. That lap 27 pass that ended up with contact of both cars and damaging both cars, causing both of them having to pit. I don't know, with Carlos coming out the loser with that by getting a 10-second stop and go penalty. I don't know. I don't know. I think it was an ambitious move at that point. And at the end of the day, it just hurt both of them.
Yeah.
We were just speaking about the Carlos Sainz and the Liam Lawson, how they seem to be magnets attracting each other. And with the pass, Carlos was trying to get P7 from Liam, and they ended up touching, damaging both cars, and both of them having to pit.
All right.
I think that was an unavoidable accident. I don't know if
What do you mean by that?
No, meaning it seemed to me Carlos got his nose in there, but Liam was a little bit more ahead of him.
Okay. So,
right? And then maybe Carlos needed to open up the wheel a little bit more to let Liam through, because it was Carlos's inside front right tire that brushed onto Liam's left rear, right? Causing that contact, causing them both to suffer a puncture. I thought it was a little too ambitious at that point.
All right. So if I remember correctly, when Carlos entered, the regulation says that the front wheel of the car on the outside needs to be at the cockpit of the driver. He's trying to pass on inside. From what I saw, Carlos' wheel was there. So again, Lawson tried to play a max and won because, he's got the hookup with the FIA. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm on board with Carlos. How the heck did he get that, penalty? If anything, if they wanted to be neutral, they should have just called it a racing incident, right? Because according to them on entry, from what the angle I saw, I was looking at it when they did the replay. I was like, okay, where's the front tire? So Larson, he was there for a fact, because his car's front tire was next to his cockpit. That means even if he didn't want to look, the wing was still in his periphery. So the car is there. Right. And so he continued to open up the wheel. And I think Carlos, tried to come out of it, and they touched. Right. So again, the FIA boy is just playing on these guys' side, because where did they come from with that?
Well, the thing, it's interesting you say that, because Carlos in the post-race interview, he tried to go to speak with the stewards, but they did not want to speak with him.
Yeah, because they ripped him off.
and he he was a little frustrated that he always seems to, come out the loser in those, in anything where the stewards are coming in and levying penalty, it always falls on his side. So I found that interesting. I don't know. Maybe
don't be corporate speaking. Yo, that was messed up, bro.
That was messed up.
You know what I'm saying? Because my man, as they've said in the past that, every time they go to a race, you get different people that do a different interpretation of the same rule, right? As opposed, and as drivers, they're trying to get consistency so that they can understand what I can do and what I can't do. And I think this is another situation where the tables got changed.
Right. Yeah. It's true. Poor Carlos, though, hoping he, I like the fact that he was running strong. He was running strong up until that point. And again, I'm happy for him, because he's in a new team, getting a handle of a new car and a new way they handle themselves, new environment. And I was happy to see that he was running strong. But, this part of the race, it's like the bumper car segment just continues, because then you come down to Charles and George Russell. With Charles, I swear I thought they were driving like NASCARs or closed wheel cars.
Robbins Racing, baby.
Oh, well, true. I never thought it was that in Formula One. I've never seen it like that, because Charles basically threw his Ferrari on the inside corner and basically used George's car to get himself through and ahead. And I mean, I know they said they were going to investigate it. We'll get to that. But anyway, your thoughts on that?
Well, so Charles was desperate, right, to make the move. Mm-hmm. And yes, his move was definitely like he came to the US NASCAR and saw stuff, or even the Australian V8s, right?
Right, yes.
And that's very unusual, because he just threw it in there and put half the car in the gravel, and the other, I guess there was maybe like, well, I haven't seen it, but I must guess it's like 6 inches of the rear tire was still on the other side of the curbing on the track, because he just like, yo, give me the spot. And he's just like, sure, and he's gone, and he just went in. So, so that one was, that was rough. When I saw that, I was like, what?
Yeah,
right? But the fact that the cars made it out without anybody getting a puncture was another thing, right? But now that was that was shocking.
But that caused them to lose a lot of carbon bodywork from the cars, which then hindered poor George, because he's there running his race, and the pit wall comes over and says, "Hey, we want to swap cars. We want you to let Kimi through." And George, the British, he was like, "What?"
Of course, because George is the man.
Excuse me, like he was shocked by that. But again, team player, he let him through.
Hold up, but was he a team player though? Because I think during that whole melee back and forth, George took time to realize that yes, the car didn't feel the same, so he didn't have the same capability. Right.
Yeah, no, but that is for me personally, I think that is being a team player, because there are instances where you've had other teammates where the other one's selfish. It's like, no, I'm not going to do it. There's less of that I see of late in Formula One. There were times where they were like, no, I'm not doing that. Like they're doing their own thing, fighting for it. So yeah, I think it was a good team player move by George, because for what you just said, he realized his car, he wasn't putting in the times Kimi was. Let him have a shot,
You just gave me my point back, because he realized that it would be more of a spectacle for him not to let him by, so he let him by. I would be on board with you if George didn't have any damage to his car and he was just not, covering the ground like Kimi, and he pulled over and let Kimi go. I'd be more on board with that. But I think he just didn't want to be the spectacle. And after he did the analysis and realized, I can't really push this.
Right.
Yeah, let him go.
Let him go. But yeah, that whole segment, you're right. I thought it was an Australian V8, because those guys, they rub. They rub. I never saw that in Formula One like this. Moving on to the race wrap up and Lando's torment. Man, I don't know. But the thing that starts this off, again, it would come back to Charles. Charles did his dive bomb move, got away with it, and was running strong. Now he's back. Now they swapped in Kimi, and Kimi is running, chasing down Charles. So now they brought in Kimi, pitted him on lap, I think 52. Ferrari decides to cover Kimi and brought Charles in as well, which Charles felt his tires were good and he didn't need to come in. But they brought him in, and coming out of the pits, he and Kimi, he came out just ahead of Kimi, and Kimi went in I think it's 1 or 2 turns later to try and make the pass, and boom, Charles is gone. In tire puncture, spun out off the track, DNF. What did you think of that?
Okay. All right. First, I'll say this. Mercedes set Kimi up to take out Charles. All right, hold up. All right, if you don't like that one, how about this one? Karma is a
Okay.
right.
Explain that one.
Because yeah, Kimi came in and yeah, it just he lost control and he T-boned Charles, right, and got him out the race. And I'll be honest, I was a little sad not sad, but upset when Lewis went out. And when Charles went out, I wasn't that sad anymore. Okay. So I'm just being.
You're consistent. You're consistent.
I'm just being upfront here. That's it. I wasn't really that sad. I felt bad for Charles, but at the same time, I didn't feel bad for Charles, right? Because I mean, he and my man, no points is a wash, right? So that's the way I was looking at it. That's how I walked away from it.
Okay, to speak on that point, I have a differing opinion on the point you have, because I think the way Charles his DNF came about wasn't his fault. Whereas Lewis, it was uncharacteristic of him, right? And where he got caught out by that and where it happened on track. So if I were their boss, I would be pissed, period, that both cars didn't finish and no points were gathered. But I would feel a little bit more for Charles than let's say, Lewis, if I had to put it that way.
Whoa. All right, so check it out now. Lewis didn't put that type of paint down on that corner. You know what I'm saying? Lewis didn't set up the barrier to come back onto the track that close, right? So, you know what? I would be on board with you if Lewis didn't turn the wheel to try and catch the slide. I'd say, yeah, Lewis. But he was doing his job to pick up the slide because he didn't know. Nobody went out and said, yo, Lewis, the white paint is stickier than the green paint during this little downpour, so you should be all right. Nobody said that. And his car, he already complained that the back end of the car was a little twitchy, right? So he went out there and the car touched it, touched that paint, and it caused him to slide. And he went with the slide. It's just that he ran out of room. So, I can't really get on board with your approach there, because it's not that, Lewis went and did something dumb, like dive bomb somebody for a turn and then the pass didn't work out or something, something like that. It's just that there was a part of the track that had a different coefficient of friction because of the wetness. He ended, when he entered the corner, he ended up in that portion of the track, tried to recover the car, but due to the track design, he didn't have the room.
Okay, but I'll say this. See, that's why I say uncharacteristic crash by Lewis, because from what you're saying, what I'm gathering is, and maybe so, that you're saying his race engineer should have came in and said, Lewis, spitting rain, be careful of the white paint. Possibly, but then he's also a 7-time world champion, so he would already know that, right?
Yes, but he went in with caution.
Okay,
right?
Yeah, he did. That's why I said it's uncharacteristic. But I'm saying if I were looking at it when you said Charles got knocked off the track, Lewis went off because of uncharacteristic mishap on his part, or I don't want to use any of the other terms, but he didn't realize or didn't remember to be careful of the wet paint because it's spitting down a little bit of water, rain, and it could have made it slippery. That's all I'm saying. I mean, I don't want to belay, to beat up on it, but that's just my point. If I were a boss, I would have a little more sympathy maybe for Charles than I would for Lewis for that what happened in that race. But anyway, moving on, what's really the highlight of this part of the race was Lando's engine let go. He was running strong in second place behind Oscar, and I was surprised when I saw it that, oh wait, there's a puff of smoke, and Lando felt it and smelt it before. Obviously he's in the car, so he knows that. I don't recall seeing a DNF like that, but now he's 25 points behind. What do you feel about that?
Well, so yeah, it was that's uncharacteristic of McLaren. Let me use that word I just learned. to have engine failure, right? Because they've been pretty reliable over the time. And yeah, it's just maybe it's in the cards that maybe it's in the cards that this is not Lando's time for this one to this go around. I don't know. We'll see, because if Oscar suffers a DNF, right? Then he's back in play again, right?
Yes,
Lando's
true.
back in play.
True.
So, you never know. It could be back to the Rosberg days again, where the Rosberg team goes on to Oscar's, becomes Oscar's team. And all of a sudden there's, hey, DNF. Because this, that, or the other thing. So we don't know, again, what's going on with the back there. But yeah, I will say that I felt for Lando, right? To be honest, because he's doing this thing. He was just about to start getting up and going after him now to go try and get that spot when that happened. So I felt for him, because you could see it when he sat down on the side of the road. It's as if he's saying, man, what more do I need to do? You know what I'm saying? What's going on here? So yeah, I felt for Lando doing that.
Yeah. Me too. I was sad. I was like, oh no, when that happened, because I want to see it stay as tight as it can. But you're right. I'm not putting anything on Oscar, but yeah, if he suffers a DNF, then Lando's right back in there again, running, chasing him down. So we'll see. We'll see how the rest of the season
They're
goes.
going to call in Lewis's old team from Rosberg days to come help it to maintain the car. so things will happen. Yeah.
Well, moving into the rookie MVP. My man. Wow. Isaac Hadjar, I mean, he's been impressing since he got into the sister team, the Red Bull sister team, and we were running. But even though he got P3 because Charles got knocked out and so on, and he was running a really good race. I mean, he was there sniffing at Max.
Was he?
And that was the question. If he got close enough, would he be allowed to challenge Max? But still, for him to finish his debut season and he already got a podium, P3, I was very happy, surprised and happy. What do you feel about that?
Yeah, I was, because just before that, right, there was like the question did come up. I remember one of the commentators, was it Palmer, said, "Oh well, there is the spirit of the law and there's the red letter of the law, right?" And they're like, "Oh well, they're an independent team. Are they really? Because would Isaac be able to go past him? Because what a spectacle that would look like to say that the junior team with a rookie is passing the senior team with a season, as you say, a 3-time world champion." Right. So is that going to really happen? I don't think so. You could put it on paper how you want. It ain't going to happen. But I'm happy for Isaac, because he's been showing himself to be worthy, right? Since the season. It goes back to what I've said. What if we were to put them in equal cars? Are there drivers on the grid that are not getting the notoriety that they deserve because of the hardware that they're running? Yes, Formula One is technology, whatever. Whatever. Yes, but still, is that at the sacrifice of some good talent, right? Because again, Hadjar, put it up, and again, back to the B team. A team's going to make sure that B team car don't pass them. Right. So again, are we, as spectators, are we really truly seeing the quality drivers exhibit their true capability, right? And so that's it. But I'm happy for Isaac, and when they reflected back how he started the season, right, with what happened there, is just man, props to my man. And he's what they had the statistic that for a French driver in X amount of years, he's in a long time to done that. So. It's props to him.
I was happy for him, and you heard the speculations of maybe he should be the one in the second Red Bull, and I'm alongside Max. But to me, I also looked at it as it shows you how undrivable that Red Bull car is as well, and how much it's fallen off, right? How much it's fallen off, how much others are starting to catch up, because that's the sister team, and he was running strong. He was running strong with him, he was showing his mettle, right? But it also shows that Well, I think consistently it's shown that the sister team Red Bull car is a more compliant car to drive than what Max is running, than Max's car, right? Let's call it that.
So I want to just piggyback on your set. They want to send Isaac to his death by sending him up to the senior team, and that's not going to work, right, for me, because when they said that, I was like, no, heck no, right? But at the same time, it showed. You raised another good point. It shows that the junior team car is more manageable for the drivers, right?
Right.
So what if the revenue was put into the junior team car? That comes back to my thing again. Yeah. They're not putting the revenue in the junior team car so it can pass the senior car for Max, right? Because again, they don't want that spectacle to show up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And because you just led into it, and I just wanted to digress for a minute. I apologize to Checo for calling him what I did last season for the commentary I said last season, because I was not aware of the monumental lift he was trying to overcome in order to be in that second seat. Right. And so my apologies go out to Checo because I'm happy that he's on Cadillac. Just a little digress, but my apologies. Yeah. But getting back to this, the junior team I think is a better platform than what's on the car in a Red Bull. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And my question then comes, what aero changes did they really make that they can't back out of it to bring it to that level?
Well, it's probably a bunch of compounding issues, right? They don't have Adrian Newey because you can see Aston Martin has, improved somewhat, compared, and they have Adrian, right? So you have to think that he's putting in a little something on the current car just to help them out. Right. So Red Bull doesn't have that. They're basically, hey man, like they say, everything rises and falls, right? Red Bull seems to be entering the stage that when they were on the build-up, they were scavenging people from other teams. They took key people to build up their team, and now it seems that that was their peak, and now they seem to be heading into their valley, right? Which is probably a reason why Max and the Mercedes conversation didn't go anywhere, because Max would know it's dumb. I don't know how any of these teams are gonna fall next season with all the new rules. Let me wait, and see. So anyway, I think that's what's going on with them. But I agree with you. I wouldn't see being promoted to the senior Red Bull team as a promotion. I'm like, no, you're sending me to my death in here, unless Isaac's skills are on par, let's say, with car control skills with Max, that he could handle that car, but. We'll see. We'll see, but we'll see what next year's Red Bull car looks like and what next year's Racing Bulls car looks like. But anyway, the other rookie I want to mention too is Ollie Berman. I was happy for him with his P6 finish. He drove a good race. Yeah,
Haas is doing well this year. As far as getting into points. And, again, it just further bolster my what I've been saying is that. Are we really showcasing the capabilities of these drivers on the grid based upon the teams that the team's equipment that they are provided with to do the race?
Right. And I understand that. And the other part of Formula One is what we are seeing. Williams was a championship winning team for many seasons, right? And they fell, right? And they're going through. And now they're on a rebuild that they're coming up. They're a strong midfielder now, moving towards the point of that midfield to try to step into the next level. You see Ferrari still trying to find their footing, right? Mercedes had some missteps and fell back. They did fall back. So that's part of it with Red Bull is like, with Formula One, excuse me. It's, can you get all these different moving parts together and get them to gel consistently so you could challenge? So that's the part of the allure of it. That's why they won't do what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, but that's part of why they won't do it. The other side is money as well. But moving through, let's get into predictions, because we have the Italian Grand Prix coming up next weekend. Okay. What do you? I'm going to jump right in, and I'm going to say, I still feel it's going to be Oscar. It's between Oscar and Lando, and I think it's going to be Oscar and then Lando. And I am gonna still say Max. I'm gonna still say Max. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I'll go with that because it's really it's gonna be Piastri. Even Piastri, if the top three is gonna be two McLarens and a Red Bull, right? And so it won't be Mr. Yuki, sorry to say, but it will be Max. And yeah, it's either gonna be, I think Oscar is gonna push on. I think Oscar after the breakdown is ready to say it's time to stamp this and move on.
Yep.
And I think he's gonna be there because even if he doesn't qualify first, I think he's gonna go after him to make the move, and either in the beginning part of the race or during the race to make it. As long as McLaren will step in and poo-poo the whole thing.
Yeah. I agree. Well, everyone, with that, please join us next week for the Italian Grand Prix. Again, please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and to hit the notification bell to stay up to date on all things the fellas. And we'll see you again next week for the Italian Grand Prix. Have a good evening.
Peace.